Hey, Nick?
Yeah? What's on your mind, Maya?
I've been thinking about the case. We've gone from alleged murder to suicide and now this! It's pretty crazy.
I agree. I certainly wasn't expecting us to go from no suicide note to 2 in the span of a single trial.
Not to mention learning about the mysterious incident that happened 4 years ago. What do you make of it, Nick?
It's hard to say for now, but it's definitely connected to the case. We need to get to the bottom of it before tomorrow's trial. It's our last chance to learn the whole truth.
Yeah! We must give 110%! But how should we proceed?
We follow the leads we have. Mike clearly knows something, and I'm willing to bet he's not the only one. However, I don't think any of them will be jumping at the chance to share the story with us.
What about the 2 suicide notes? I'm still trying to wrap my head around that.
It's far too early to theorize, but it's definitely rubbing me the wrong way. We'll have to stay sharp during the investigation.
We made it through today's trial by the skin of our teeth. I just hope we have enough time to find everything we need. Speaking of today's trial, that was some mighty impressive bluffing back there.
In hindsight, it may not have been my finest moment. But at least it gave us enough time for the new evidence to arrive.
I think it may have cost us most of the judge's patience, though. I doubt he or Francisco will let you get away with any more wild theories without solid evidence on the last day of the trial.
Noted. However, I still think there's more to Harvey and Victoria's relationship than we know. We should look into that as well. We need to take a moment to clear our heads and refocus.
Excuse me, Mr. Wright? Miss Faye?
Oh, hi there. What's up, bailiff?
Good to see you're still here. The prosecution has asked me to deliver this to you.
Huh? These are copies of the suicide notes!
Yup, that they are. The judge accepted them into evidence after the trial, which means both parties are to be supplied with copies post-haste. So there you go.
Thanks a lot!
I also have a message for you from one Mr. Tennant. He wanted me to let you know that he will be waiting at the regiment gates with some, juicy intel.
Oh yeah, he promised to look into Captain Harvey's past for us.
Thank you, Bailiff. We appreciate letting us know.
Just doing my job, sir. See you tomorrow.
Okay, Nick, time to get to work. Where should we head first?
I think we should give Mike some time by himself. We're gonna need some evidence if we need to confront him anyway. Let's go see what Tennant has for us.
Probably a good idea. Let's mosey, Nick!
After 2 days in court, we're only beginning to see the true nature of this case. We cannot afford to waste our last chance to find the truth. We must do our best to uncover what we can of the dark secret from 4 years ago.
Here we are! See the sergeant anywhere?
No. The guard post is empty again. I wonder where he's gone off to this time.
I know one way that will make him come running.
Just stay away from the fence, Maya. It's not a doorbell.
You're no fun!
I'm sure he's around here somewhere. If we just wait a few minutes, we'll... Maya? Where'd you... Oh, snap. Please don't tell me.
Is the thing on? 1, 2, testing! Okay, good. Staff Sergeant Tennant, please report back to your post immediately. Thank you! Also, the Steel Samurai rules! That is all. Have a nice day!
That ought to do it.
I'm never, ever letting you out of my sight again.
Don't say that. Thanks to me, he should be here faster than we can say.
Maggots!
Yes, and now he's angrier than a hive of killer bees. Oh boy.
Do you have any idea what you just did, Missy? You announced to the entire regiment that I was AWOL from my post! Captain Renard is going to have my ass for this!
You were supposed to wait here, so really? It's your own fault.
Well, maybe if you had shown up a couple minutes earlier, I wouldn't have thought I had the time to attend to other things.
And what exactly was so important that you had to leave the front gates of the regiment unattended yet again?
I was looking for the medal I lost a few days ago. Losing one of my babies is the worst thing that can happen. But that's beside the point now! I still have some more venting to do.
Ugh. At least he's not making us do push-ups again.
That's the last time I trust a lawyer. I promise to help you out, and what do I get for my trouble? You suspect me of bombing Harvey, make me lose all the progress I had toward my diligent guard duty badge, and claim that Sissy Samurai is the greatest hero of them all? I don't know which one's the worst.
Sissy Samurai? Who could possibly be a greater hero than the warrior of Neo-O Tokyo?
You really even gotta ask? The Nickel Samurai, of course. Hands down, any day of the week.
Without the Steel Samurai, there wouldn't even be a Nickel Samurai.
Clearly you have no taste in your Saturday morning television. Everything is better in Nickel. The storyline, the villains, the fights, and of course, the relationship between Nickel and Sayo the T-Girl.
Nickel and Sayo? Are you out of your mind? She's so obviously in love with Nickel's brother, Aluminum. Haven't you been paying attention to the hints at all?
Nickel and Sayo make the best pair. End of story.
Well, your opinion is wrong.
Two adults getting into a fight over fictional relationships in children's programming. Now I've seen it all.
Besides, wasn't the guy playing the Steel Samurai some sort of crook? I mean, that just gives the hero a bad name.
Sorry to butt into your important debate, but didn't you have information related to the case, Staff Sergeant?
After all you've put me through, I should just keep this intel to myself. But it's just too juicy not to share.
What do you have for us, then?
Captain Harvey's service records, straight from Captain Renard's security office archives. Let me tell you, this info wasn't easy to intercept. Luckily, a guy in the mess hall owed me a favor after I won a bet including a ton of pancakes and pea soup. They may or may not have activated the alarms last night at a remote part of the regiment to lure the old fox out of his hideout. I swear, the cat practically lives in that office. Anyway, he always goes to check things out personally after he's turned the alarms off. So I snuck in and took the documents while I was away. A perfect crime if I do say so myself.
But wouldn't you be caught on security cameras?
The only cameras are along the roads, and I know exactly where each of them is located. Comes in handy at times, especially when you need to sneak off for a quick snack at the mess hall.
They awarded medals for avoiding work. Sergeant Slacker here would clearly have them all.
Besides, it'd be kind of redundant to have the security office monitor itself, wouldn't it?
Touché.
What about the key card logs, though?
Oh, crap. Let's just hope nobody notices,
So much for that perfect crime. How come you have access to the security office? I'd imagine that it requires quite the high clearance level.
Oh, I've had access since the old security chief gave it to me like 5 years ago. Apparently he got so fed up with how often I wanted to check my records that he decided adding my card to the security office access list was the easiest way out. Captain Renard hasn't had a reason to remove it. Yet. Good thing I still have it, too. Ever since Renard became the security chief, he immediately confiscated a spare key to the security office because of privacy and security reasons. Now, do you want me to blabber on about the hoops I had to go through to get these files, or hear what's actually in them?
The latter, please.
Right, let's get down to business. Have either of you heard of a place called Arisia?
I vaguely recall the name. I believe it's a country in Eastern Europe.
Sure is. Not sure if you remember, but 4 years back it was a stage for a destructive civil war. Things got so bad that the Allied nations had to intervene. So under the AN's mandate, a coalition of nations, us included, sent troops to help stabilize the situation. After the open fighting had ceased, the coalition troops began to withdraw and get replaced by peacekeepers. Thus, it became a peacekeeping mission known as Operation Aegis, which officially ended only recently, just last month. It was also the last field mission Harvey served in. Have a look here.
Operation Aegis Mission Debriefing. Name, Janice Harvey. Rank, Captain. Unit, 1st Special Engineering Company. Mission objectives for Unit: clearing and securing mountain roads and highway tunnels in North Arisia. Field testing of equipment. Mission status: aborted due to excessive casualties. Survivors awarded with the Dove of Fidelity, and suspended from field duty pending investigation. Conclusion: reassigned to other duties in the Allied Nations Regiment in Angeles Bay with other survivors, to be placed under surveillance for involvement in the Helio 6 incident. The Helio 6 incident? This could be what the suicide notes were referring to.
Is there anything you know about that incident, Sergeant?
Afraid not. I keep my ear to the ground whenever I can, but this has been kept tightly under wraps. Hell, if I didn't even know that Harvey had the Dove, how should I know what he did to deserve it? Now, I never personally set foot on Arisian soil, but I'm not surprised to hear Harvey did. Will explain how he got his hands on his precious bottle of booze.
How in the heck are those two connected?
From what the old Rockface once said, Arisian spirits are considered super fancy in some circles. Problem is, they don't want to export, so the only way to get your hands on them is to fetch them personally. Obviously, the limited supply was effectively cut off by the Civil War, so prices skyrocketed.
What's so special about it anyway?
Hell if I know. The only thing I can think of is the bottle itself. It's sealed with an iron plug, and basically the neck of the bottle must be broken to get to the good stuff. I saw Harvey struggling to open it on Absolution Day when I was heading out.
So you noticed the bottle of spirits, but not the Dove of Fidelity.
That's assuming Harvey was wearing it. He wasn't, and I don't fault him for it. He probably had it in his pocket or something.
Fair enough, I suppose. Any opinion on the 2 suicide notes?
Well, I've never heard of a suicide with 2 different notes. Maybe he couldn't decide which to go with? I don't know. The handwriting looks real enough to me.
What about the list of names on the other note?
Other than the obvious one, none of them ring a bell. So what do you think? I did pretty good, huh?
Staff Sergeant Tennant, I appreciate the lengths you've gone to get us this information, but we can't use the service record as evidence.
What? Why the hell not?
Did you take a look at the file? This information is marked confidential. In other words, this is illegal evidence of the highest order.
Really? My records certainly aren't confidential.
Then someone clearly wants to keep this information a secret.
So if we use this in court...
We'll be the next one sitting in the defendant's chair.
I put my ass on the line just to get into more trouble? Son of a... I even made copies for you! So if Renard catches me with any of these files, he'll put me in front of a court-martial, and that's gonna be the end of old Lou. And he's probably heading here to drill me about that intercom incident. This is all your fault!
Oh dear, I didn't mean...
Cut it, Missy, we ain't got the time. Now it's time for Operation Saving Sergeant Tennant. Here's the plan. You take these damn documents off me and return the originals back to the filing cabinet of the security office. I'll give you my key card. Just remember to return the damn thing to me when you come back. I suspect I won't be leaving this damn guard post anytime soon. You'll do this for me, right?
I guess we are partially to blame. We'll take care of it.
Great, then take these.
Wait! We don't know where the security office is!
It's due north from the Iron Chamber, but don't use the main path. It has cameras, and you might bump into Captain Renard. There's a shortcut through the woods close to the Iron Chamber that you can use that I found during one of my orienteering runs. It shouldn't take more than 20 minutes to get to the security office using that if you hurry. I'll mark it on your map. Now go, go, go!
I guess that jog takes care of our daily exercise.
Yeah, Some shortcut that was. Dingy little trail going through the woods. Anyway, looks like we're all clear. The fox has left his hole. There wasn't a soul in the lobby either. It's so creepy. You'd think they'd have someone keep an eye out on the keycard printer they have there.
I suppose they're counting on rank authorization to prevent misuse. Anyway, let's work fast. No amount of bluffing will save us if we're caught red-handed with these files.
But we really shouldn't waste this opportunity, Nick. Let's take a quick look around.
I'd love to, but there's no time. We need to leave as soon as possible. Now, where's that filing cabinet?
Ah, here it is.
Great. Let's just return the files and be on our merry way.
Looks like we have a tiny little problem. The thing's locked.
You've gotta be kidding me.
You'd think Sergeant Tennant would have mentioned that little detail, huh?
Well, we can't just leave the files lying around. The key must be somewhere in here. How else could he access the files while Captain Renard was gone? Come on, hurry up and help me look for it.
Already on it! Wow, look at all these screens.
The feed from all the security cameras around the regiment must be shown here. The grid looks pretty extensive. No feed from just outside the Iron Chamber, though. That's too bad. We could have really benefited from that.
Hey look! There's Detective Gumshoe in the mess hall. Wow, look at him chow down all that free food. He looks so happy.
Clearly he's taking advantage of the opportunity.
And there's the front gate. I can see Captain Renard. And poor Sergeant Tennant.
They seem to be, quite engaged in their conversation. That should hopefully give us plenty of time to find the key.
Huh. This must be the console Captain Renard uses to control the alarms and such. Looks pretty high-tech to me. It has one of those fingerprint pads, and even a built-in phone.
Must be for secure phone calls. Well, what does the note read?
Security Protocol. Step 1. Acknowledge and turn off the alarm using the console. Step 2. Investigate the cause for alarm personally. Can't make out Step 3. Step 4. Profit?
Well, it is literally what he gets paid to do.
No key here, though. Maybe check his desk?
He keeps it very tidy, it seems. Let's try not to disturb the feng shui.
What's this? Another one of those key cards, it seems?
Judging by the label on it, it's probably the spare for the security office Tennant told us about.
Interesting. The only other thing here is this note. Important. Remember to purchase more pace okay? Pace okay? Whatever it is, it must be pretty important.
Not to us, though. We need to find the key.
Oh, a briefcase! How cool!
How so? It's just a briefcase.
Don't you know that briefcases always contain exciting stuff, like secret intel or controls to an orbital laser?
Well, mine only contains court documents and evidence.
See? Pretty exciting! So, let's see what this one has eaten. Whoa!
Wow, that's a lot of money.
I know! Just imagine how many burgers you could buy with that!
Not in our usual joint, though. This is definitely foreign currency.
Maybe he won the lottery while abroad.
Perhaps, but why keep it lying around like this? I'd put my money in a bank.
That's because you're boring like that, Nick.
If by boring you mean sensible like every other rational person on the planet, then I'm guilty as charged. Either way, this is pretty hard to ignore.
Okay, I guess there's nothing else to see here. Let's put the files away.
Oh, you found the key?
Actually, the thing wasn't really locked. I just thought we really should look around.
Maya, you really drive me insane sometimes.
Relax! Renard is still at the front gates. We're fine.
Let's just put the files away and get going.
Done and done.
Alright, off we go. Remember, we were never here.
Now let's hurry and go save poor Staff Sergeant Tennant!
But, sir, I swear I was only trying to cover more ground. I'm sure a man as smart as you understands.
You know as well as I do that the gate guard duty does not work that way, Staff Sergeant. And while I appreciate your flattery, I am afraid there is no medal to be earned for bootlicking. You are a disgrace to your rank and to my regiment, Staff Sergeant. I am afraid I will have to take this issue up with the regiment commander.
The commander? Please, sir, I swear I'll never make a mistake again. Please, my career's on the line here.
You had one chance, Tenant. I do not run a charity when it comes to gross neglect of one's duties. Perhaps a demotion will teach you to listen to the orders of your superiors more carefully.
Good day, Misters Tennant and Renard.
That is Captain Renard.
Oh, sorry, Captain.
You certainly have a reason to feel sorry. Your unauthorized use of this regiment's announcement system is in violation of several security protocols. However, I will let it slide this one time, since you did expose this miserable mockery of a guard. Nevertheless, please keep your adjutant in check, Mr. Wright, for I might not feel as generous in the future.
Yes, sir. Could you please lend us a moment of your time, Captain? We have some questions.
Of course. Staff Sergeant,
Yes, sir?
we're not finished. Keep that in mind the next time you contemplate breaking the protocol.
Yes, sir.
Now then, Mr. Wright, let us begin.
Okay. I've understood that the regiment security forces packed and cataloged all of Captain Harvey's belongings?
That is correct, although I did not have the time to oversee the process personally. I only went there to inspect the results. All in all, their work was satisfactory, but they could have brought less cardboard boxes. I noticed that some of them were left completely empty.
And so did Maya, the master spy.
I'm sure you have already received the inventory list.
We have, yes. Next, I'd like to ask you about these key cards. We have been told it's possible to delete the logs.
That is true, but it should be noted that it is quite impossible without cooperation from the owner of the particular area. They would first have to authorize the operation by using their fingerprints, you see. It is a generally discouraged practice, only to be used when confidentiality is of utmost importance.
Are you aware that Captain Harvey was misusing the system for his own needs?
Was he? There has been no evidence of anything like that happening.
Oh gee, I wonder why.
So, how do you like your job, Captain?
I don't see how this question contributes to anything relevant.
Just curious.
It pays the bills, but with subordinates like Tennant, who needs external security risks? Now, back in the Army, we had proper discipline and respect for protocol.
Oh yeah, Lieutenant Victoria mentioned you used to work for the Army.
Yes, I worked for the Army Intelligence up until a few years ago, when I decided to transfer over to the Allied Nations side of things.
And why was that?
Opportunities opened up for me.
Really? What kind of opportunities?
Is this a murder investigation or an examination of my curriculum vitae? If you're interested in working here, talk to your local recruiter.
Looks like that avenue of information was exhausted quickly.
Honestly, it surprises me how much time has been wasted on a case as clear-cut as this.
Clear cut? I'm sorry, but haven't you been following the trial at all?
No, it simply doesn't interest me.
But you're the security chief. Shouldn't you of all people care?
Updating the security protocols of Absolution Day is already on my table. Unfortunately, murder falls under the jurisdiction of the police force, and that means we have a little girl and people like her shabby lapdog detective running the show. Had I been in charge of the investigation, this matter would have been dealt with a long time ago. In the end, investigating explosion sites in the Army was rather simple.
Well, you should know that Captain Harvey left a suicide note. 2 of them, actually.
2 suicide notes, you say? How peculiar. How very peculiar indeed.
So, still think Mike's behind this?
I fail to see how my opinion is in any way relevant. Although, you've made me curious. Perhaps I will arrange time to come witness your last hurrah after all. just to see where it goes. For now, however, I believe this conversation has lost its relevancy. If there's nothing else you need, I have work to do.
There is one last thing. What's gonna happen to Sergeant Tennant?
I am a man of my word. He's not going to work here for much longer after I finish my report.
You can't do that to him! He doesn't deserve it!
Typical emotional drivel, willfully ignoring the facts. Allow me to educate you on Battlefield Tactics 101, Miss Faye. There can be no greater fool than one who willingly acts to place himself in an indefensible position before a relentless assault from an enemy. Tennant knew exactly what his actions would amount to if he was caught. Hence, he deserves everything heading his way. Or, are you questioning my authority on the matter?
Well, since you put it that way, yes!
Do come again?
That's right! I'm not afraid of your self-important bullying! And what are you gonna do about that, huh?
You impudent fool. What makes you think a wretch like you is in any position to criticize me? You're both a waste of my time.
Well then, I think you may have hit a sore spot there, Maya.
You think, huh?
Man, you are either bravely stupid or stupidly brave to oppose Renard to his face. You've got some gall.
It's the least I could do after I got you in all this trouble.
Consider your apology accepted. It was pretty priceless seeing the old fox being told off by a kid.
Hey! I'm 20 years old!
Exactly my point. So anyway, I believe you have something in mind?
Oh yes, your card. Here you go.
Thanks, although I don't think I'll be keeping it for very long. Better start prepping my return to the Scouts. For now, I really need to get back to watching the gate. You understand.
Of course. With what we know, I think we may finally be in a position to draw out the truth from Mike.
Let's head to the detention center to see how he's doing then. I hope Mike has had enough time to gather his thoughts.
Me too. I would rather not have this go south. Let's hear what he has to say.
Oh, hello.
Hey there, Mike. How are you holding up?
What do you mean? I've been perfectly alright. Fine as ever.
You know, you don't need to pretend that nothing happened during the trial.
That's because nothing happened. Nothing.
That's not true. Just... why won't you tell us, Mike? Don't you trust us?
Sorry. It just really doesn't matter anymore.
Well, if it doesn't matter, there's no reason to hold out?
You just don't get it. Why do you keep pestering me about this? Why do you think this means anything at all?
I think it's finally time. Very well, Mike. If that's what it takes, I'll show you why all this is relevant. Take that! Mike, I understand this might be painful for you, but we must hear the truth.
Painful? Why would it be painful? I mean, I don't know anything about what you're talking about.
I'm not sure the court record agrees. We saw your reaction to this piece of evidence. Take that!
Harvey's suicide note.
In this version of Captain Harvey's suicide note, he apologized to all of his victims, including November. And you're saying that this has nothing to do with you?
Fine. I was touched by his apology. I mean, after all the crap he put me through, it was good to hear that he at least felt sorry in the end.
If only that were true. However, this letter cannot possibly be referring to you.
And why not?
The suicide note is addressed to people who were in contact with Harvey 4 years ago. You, on the other hand, weren't a part of the Peace Corps until recently.
So then, if Harvey wasn't apologizing for hazing me, then what is this note referring to?
I believe you already know the answer to that question. There was an incident in Harvey's past that also affected you.
I don't know what you could possibly mean.
I guess I'll have to show you then. This piece of evidence shows what the suicide note is referring to. Take that!
What is that?
Captain Harvey's service record. 4 years ago, he was involved in something called the Helio 6 incident, for which he was awarded the notorious Dove of Fidelity. We need to know what happened, Mike, for the sake of everyone who was involved.
Interesting. First you claim that this note couldn't have possibly been referring to me, but then you proceed to say that I know something about this Helio 6 deal. So which is it?
It's simple. This letter isn't referring to you at all, but based on the last name, we can conclude that you lost a member of your family in that incident.
You can't prove that.
Mike, the Helio 6 incident is the heart of this entire case. Come on, Mike. You're the only one who can help us find the truth now.
Charlie, I'm so sorry. Very well, Mr. Wright. I see there's no point in trying to hide it from you. I had a big brother, Charlie, who lost his life during the peacekeeping mission in the Republic of Arisia. He was the best brother I could have ever hoped to have. The kindest and bravest guy, always standing up for those who didn't have the strength or courage to do so themselves. He was a true hero. We couldn't have been more proud when he told us he wanted to become a peacekeeper. My parents and I supported him all the way. All he ever wanted to do was to help those in need. Just like that, he was gone. I remember the day when the news arrived. They told us that there had been an accident. But we had lost Charlie. After that, everything just seemed to fall apart. Like all meaning was gone from the world. It's as if a part of me died that day as well.
I'm so sorry, Mike. There is no greater pain in the world than losing a loved one. To want to grieve is only natural, but they would never want us to give up on life.
I realize that. That's why I've kept on going, for Charlie.
I'm deeply sorry for your loss, Mike. But why did you want to keep this from us?
It's kind of a petty, selfish reason, really. We were told that Charlie had likely been the one to cause the incident. Well, I refused to believe any of it. I was afraid that if I told you, this accusation would become public in a court of law, and then get passed on as the final truth in the Helio 6 incident. I would rather live in uneasy doubt than indict my own brother in the eyes of the public. Still, I wanted to know the truth behind what happened. The only way I could get it was hearing it from someone I knew for sure to have been in Arisia with Charlie and lived. Captain Janice Harvey. He was mentioned several times in Charlie's letters to us. I had always planned to follow in Charlie's footsteps and become a peacekeeper, but the reason I joined Angela's Bay in specific was to get close to Harvey. He didn't take kindly to have another November under his command, though. He tried everything he could to make me pack my bags and leave, but I persisted. For Charlie's sake. That's why I had to see him on Absolution Day. I wanted to know what really caused the Helio 6 incident. It was my last and only chance.
We know that many lives were lost in the incident, but what we don't know is what exactly happened. Could you tell us?
Of course. In his letters, Charlie told us that his company, the First Special Engineering, had been given experimental plastic explosives to field test. The codename for the explosive was Helio 6. It was said to be more powerful than C4 or Semtex, yet designed to be extremely safe to use. We were told that on the day of the incident, Charlie had been the sole guard of the explosive depot. When something set off the stored Helio 6, the rest of the company was regrouping near the depot when the explosion happened. I heard only a handful of people survived. I still carry Charlie's final letter to us as my last memento of him. He wrote it on the very day he died.
Could you show it to us?
Of course, just be careful. It's all I have left of him.
A letter, a photo, and... what's this? A drawing?
Oh, yeah, that's Mr. Blast. He was supposed to be our logo of sorts. Charlie designed him.
What's it drawn on? Some sort of file?
I think it's just a cargo manifest ripped from one of the explosives crates.
Why not use regular paper, though?
When inspiration strikes, you have to use what you have on hand, I'd guess. Charlie was always a little quick to jump into action.
Okay, well, let's have a look at the photo. So this is your brother.
Yeah, he probably took the photo while guarding the depot.
And then it's a safe bet to say that those crates contained explosives.
Yeah.
Poor Mike.
Has anyone told you that you two look so much alike?
I suppose we do. We used to joke that Charlie got the skills while I got the good looks. Anyway, let me read the letter to you.
Hey bro, I've been meaning to write you another letter for some time now. And I finally managed to get my rear in gear to do just that. Things have been alright here, with the exception of Captain Harvey being the pain in the ass he always is. Seriously, what's his problem? I overheard him arguing over some delivery with some officer I didn't know. He wasn't wearing AN colors either. Maybe the army had a mix-up or something? I don't know. It just seems strange to me. Anyway, just last week we managed to clear the collapsed tunnels leading to this isolated village in the mountains. Our folks have been trapped there for weeks. The look of gratitude on their faces made me truly feel that I have chosen the right path for myself. Despite the insurgent activity in our region, if we all keep working hard enough, I wager I'll be back home by Christmas. Speaking of which, I'll enclose an early gift to you since I'm on guard duty at the depot today. It's a piece of the new compound we've been testing from our last batch. Yours, Charlie.
Wait, your brother sent you a piece of plastic explosive in the mail?
Well, I guess that's a little strange when you say it like that. Unfortunately, nothing like that was enclosed with the letter, but the letter hadn't been opened either. I guess he just didn't get the chance.
And that's the first time I've heard anyone complain they didn't get an explosive in the mail. Also, note to self, bill this one electronically. To be on the safe side.
So, Mike, there's one more important question we'd like to hear an answer to. What exactly happened between you and Harvey on Absolution Day?
It is as I've said. I left for the Iron Chamber at lunchtime and found Harvey in his office.
Who is it?
November. I want to talk about the Helio 6 incident and Charlie. It's time for absolution, Harvey.
Charlie, November. Back from the dead to haunt me.
What? It was surreal. Harvey was rambling on like a madman and I couldn't get a word in. You can imagine how frustrating it was to me. And then the phone call came.
What? Yeah, the sobs here.
But the conversation included more than I first told you. Something that Captain Harvey said.
Yeah. Hell called. They want you to go back to your post, November. Get out of my sight, or I'll send you back there myself. Again.
What do you say?
Burn in hell, Charlie November.
That's horrible.
I knew it. After all those years, my suspicions were confirmed. Charlie was never to blame. Captain Harvey was the one who killed my brother, and all those other peacekeepers. He admitted it to my face.
What happened after that?
I don't know. I lost it. The next thing I remember was my hand gripping the kill switch that I had pulled.
Focus, Mike. This is important. Did you hit Captain Harvey after that?
I don't know. I would tell you if I could, honest. All I wanted was to find the truth, but I wasn't expecting that. They were gonna give that slimy bastard legal immunity.
Wait. Legal immunity?
That's right. The Helio 6 case was never closed, but as the peace mission in Aregia was nearing its end, the AN commanders wanted closure at any cost. They would even absolve Harvey if only he would tell them what they wanted to hear, so they could wash their own hands of the Helio 6 incident.
How could you know this, Mike? That sounds like extremely confidential information.
Then perhaps Harvey shouldn't have flaunted the letter he received with all its details to Lieutenant Victoria and the rest of the regiment staff. He might as well have handed out flyers saying, "I'm guilty of mass murder," and getting away with it. But he's dead now, and the truth dead with him. But at least I finally have my answers. Justice has been served.
And thus the mystery of the Absolution Day meeting is solved.
Thank you for telling us, Mike. I think this is all we can ask for from you.
Yeah, I'd say so too. In return, I'd like to ask something from you.
Sure. Anything at all.
If you can, please don't bring up Charlie in court. If he still takes the fall after Harvey confessed, then all you've done for me has been for naught.
I promise we'll do our best to respect your wish.
Thank you, Mr. Wright and Miss Fay. I'm grateful to have you by my side.
All right, Maya.
Any ideas?
We could go see Dr. Siegfried. I mean, we still need to ask about Harvey's medication. And now that we know about the Helio 6 incident, I think it would be worthwhile to ask around the regiment.
Good call. I guess we're off to see the good doctor in that case.
Stay strong, Mike. Tomorrow all of this will be just a memory.
But what does it mean? Damn it.
Dr. Siegfried didn't notice us enter. He seems to be deep in thought.
Good afternoon, Doctor.
Oh, do come in. Please excuse my absent-mindedness.
He shoved a bunch of papers he was reading into his desk drawer.
I've been expecting you here to crack the case, right?
That's one way of putting it.
I figured so. What can I do for you today?
We have some questions, and we think your medical expertise could help us.
Certainly. I will answer to the best of my ability.
Great. Let's start with Harvey's medication.
I presume you mean his heart medication. That was the only long-term pharmaceutical he was on, after all.
Yes, exactly. Why did you change his prescription again?
The new drug was simply the better option of the two. The NNT was statistically lower in several long-term cohort studies, and it removed the heavy synergistic effects with certain pharmacological depressants.
Could you repeat that in non-doctor-ish?
It was better with less risks.
What kind of risks were there?
Well, every medication has its potential side effects and risks. Harvey's old heart medication was otherwise quite good, but it had unfortunate effects when cross-reacting with alcohol, as many drugs do. The new drug, Bradarine, or Ratemate, no longer had this cross-reactivity and was presumably more effective in treating his condition. The elimination time for both drugs is also similar, about 24 hours. However, now that you mention the side effects, suicidal thoughts and behavior had been reported in rare cases. I blame myself for not taking that into account after Harvey's change of behavior. Maybe I could have prevented all of this. Come to think of it, Miss Von Karma filed a request of Harvey's entire health history. She seemed quite adamant to find evidence to use in court, so it's only fair that you get to see it too.
Thanks, Doc. You're the best.
Fairness above all, remember? Now, let me get this blasted computer up and running for you. They always take such a long time to boot up. It's really frustrating to wait 10 minutes, even if it's for security reasons.
That's okay. In the meantime, I'd like to hear your opinion on the 2 suicide notes.
Of course, it is indeed quite peculiar that there would be 2 of them. I've been thinking about it. Perhaps he was trying to target 2 different audiences. It could have been that he was torn between what he wanted his final words to be. If so, then I'm glad he chose the noble way out in the end by apologizing.
Speaking of that note, do any of the names listed here mean anything to you?
November does. How is Mike doing, by the way?
He was decent enough when we met him. He told us a lot about these notes.
Really? What exactly did he tell you?
4 years ago, there was an incident in the Republic of Arisia that took the lives of many peacekeepers.
The Helio 6 incident. I see.
Hold on. How do you know about it?
Yeah, I thought the case files were classified.
They were until the end of last month. A lot of people had been waiting to get their hands on them, myself included. If Mike trusts you enough to tell you about Helio 6, I shall have to do the same. I have the case file right here for you. Have a look if you wish.
Oh, that sounds almost too convenient.
Don't bite the hand that feeds you, Nick.
Here you go.
Dr. Siegfried, your name, and Miss Victoria's.
Yes, they're right there in the file. As you can see, I did not learn about this incident from second-hand sources. I, too, am one of the few survivors of the Helio 6 incident. Field Surgeon Jason Siegfried, former member of the 1st Special Engineering, at your service. How do you do?
Why haven't you told us? This is crucial information!
Dear Miss Fay, this only became relevant once the incident was brought up. I have not been deliberately hiding this. Furthermore, it takes a great deal of trust to share something like this, especially so considering the current circumstances. However, if Mike trusts you, then I too shall trust you.
So this means that you and Lieutenant Victoria...
Yes, we are now the only living survivors of the Helio 6 incident, the sole guardians of the truth of that terrible event. But I'm sure you would love to hear all about it.
But Mike didn't mention either of you. He only spoke of Captain Harvey.
Mike doesn't know, and I would prefer keeping it that way.
He deserves to know, Doctor.
He does, but not yet. For now, he has way more pressing issues on his plate. By my honor and conscience, I vow to tell him after the trial. You two, however, need to hear this right away, so listen carefully, for I shall tell you everything I saw on that day 4 years ago. In exchange, I have but one request. Whatever comes to pass, please leave Irene out of it. She has suffered enough because of this. Do we have a deal, Mr. Wright?
I'm afraid I can't promise you that, Doctor. We do need to hear her side of the story, too.
I see. I'm not sure how fruitful that will be, considering what I'm about to tell you. Perhaps you will reconsider. Now, let's begin this tragic tale. It was an early spring day. Most of the company was out clearing the mountain roads to secure the efficient and safe distribution of humanitarian aid in the area. Of course, I had little to do with the actual demolitions work, as I was the company's doctor. On that day, I'd been doing some cataloging in the medical tent when suddenly Sergeant Charlie November walked in.
Hey, Doc. I need some help. Kinda had a little mishap back there.
Oh, hello, Sergeant. What's the matter?
Remember that Helio stuff, and how you're not supposed to touch it with your bare hands? I found out why.
That's some nasty-looking blistering you got there on your hand. I don't think you'll be lifting anything for a while. Let's clean that and patch you up.
Oh, man. Harvey's gonna explode on me for this. I'm not supposed to leave the depot, but I'll be damned if I'll have my fingers melt on me.
Oh, that shouldn't be a problem. The damage is mostly superficial. You did the right thing by coming here. So, how did you end up getting this burn?
I was looking into the rumors about the missing explosives. I checked whether the contents of the crate matched our records and ended up burning myself by accident when I grabbed the stuff. And to be honest, I was going to mail a tiny piece to my brother, too. It's really strange. The crates make me think that we've been given more Helio 6 than we requested. But the big crate we got a few days ago is already more than half empty. As far as I know, we haven't been using that much Helio 6 during the missions.
Sounds odd indeed. I'll take this up with Harvey and the lieutenant.
Super. Could I ask you another favor? I wrote another letter to my brother. Can I trust you to put it forward?
Of course. I'll make sure it gets sent.
Thanks a lot, Doc. I owe you.
Think nothing of it, Sergeant.
November!
Sir! Captain, sir!
What the blazing hell is going through your mind? I went to the depot to find that the guy who's supposed to keep it secure is nowhere to be found.
Sir,
I don't want your excuses. I want action, November. Drag your ass back to that depot right the hell now, and don't you dare show your face before I tell you. Do I make myself clear?
Yes, sir!
Useless grunts, all of them.
To be fair, he had a pretty good reason.
I didn't ask for your opinion, Siegfried. The grunts are back from their mission. I want everyone to assemble on the field next to the depot in 10 minutes. Don't go anywhere. I will come get you. There's something I want to discuss with you.
As you wish, Captain. At the time, I thought nothing of it. I could never have anticipated what was about to go down. The captain should be here any moment now.
Siegfried.
Captain, you said you wanted to discuss something.
Yes, I did.
So what is it? At that very moment, all hell broke loose. What was that?
It came from the depot.
Oh, God! Everyone was there! Irene! I made a mad dash for the assembly field, not thinking at all. The sight. It was like a landscape from hell. Men scattered on the ground, maimed, bleeding and wailing. The luckiest ones were still in one piece. It was impossible to save them all. Irene! Irene! Irene!
Jason.
Irene, you're going to be fine. I'm not going to let you die.
I don't think I'm going to make it.
No, you will make it. Don't die on me. Fight it, Irene. I will save you. I cast aside the triage and focused completely on saving her, at the cost of many others.
That must have been an utterly horrible situation.
What was Harvey doing in the meantime?
He lost it completely upon seeing the scene.
Get up, you whiny rats! I didn't. This is all your fault! Why did you do this to me? So much blood. Oh God.
Shut up, Harvey! Call for a goddamn medevac right now!
This was a mistake. Why me? I didn't deserve this!
Call the medevac right now or I'll rip you to pieces, Harvey! We don't have time! When the medevac team finally arrived, it was already too late. In the end, the only person I managed to save was Irene. She miraculously survived, but it cost her her eye and a lot more in mental anguish. Harvey kept raving on like a lunatic, blaming the incident on everyone else. The AN investigators arrived soon after. After Irene's condition was stabilized, we were all interrogated, but I don't remember much. The terrors from before cloud much of what followed. Of course, Harvey was all too keen to shift the blame on Irene and I using some twisted logic, even though all of us were victims. Eventually, he began to pressure us and the investigators to agree that the incident was caused by Sergeant Charlie November. After all, he had been the only person in the explosives depot after the group left. Or so Harvey claimed. That could have been the end of the investigation, but then I started to think back to what had transpired just before the incident. Harvey had been acting quite nervously, and he had also been in that depot only minutes before the explosion. Thanks to that, the investigation wasn't closed, there and then. In the end, however, they couldn't determine who or what caused the incident. The only conclusive result was that there was no signs of insurgent involvement in the matter. We were all transferred out of Arisia soon after, each of us with a dove of fidelity. On the way home, we swore to never bring up the Helio 6 incident ever again, but it seems that the situation at hand has given us no choice. With the declassification of the case files upon them, the AN wants to finally tie up any loose ends at any cost. Someone needed to be held accountable, and after my testimony, the heat was on Harvey.
And they were offering him amnesty in exchange for his confession?
So you've heard. As paradoxical as it sounds, yes. Looks like Harvey wasn't going to play along nicely, though. Ah, the refreshing sound of the present calling. Let me get you Harvey's health record real quick, like. One moment. Here you go.
All right, let's take a look, Nick.
Thank you, Dr. Siegfried. We're really grateful. You've been more than helpful.
No need to thank me. I'm just giving you a fair chance to find the truth.
I'm so sorry that you've had to experience something so terrible. Nobody should go through something like that.
Don't worry about me. I've already made peace with the past. I believe that if each of us trusts one another, then surely justice will prevail. However, the horrors of the Helio 6 incident is precisely why I ask you not to bother Irene about this. She knows nothing I haven't already told you. Please, don't tear open the wounds that we've been trying to heal for all these years.
I'm afraid those wounds are already open, Doctor. Her involvement in this makes her role in finding the truth quite critical. Wouldn't you agree?
I know from experience that the truth shall set you free. She deserves to be heard.
If she wants to be heard, that is. Obviously, I cannot stop you, but at least be courteous if you have to bring this up.
I'll make sure Nick stays in line.
I'll take your word for it, Miss Faye. Other than that, do what it takes to clear November's name. Save him, for we could not.
Don't worry, Doctor. That's exactly what we'll try to do. Time to face Lieutenant Victoria.
Hey there, Miss Victoria. How are you doing?
Welcome, Mr. Wright and Miss Faye. I'm doing well. What brings you here?
The same as usual. We need your help for the case.
Of course. I will help you as much as I can. But before we start, I would like to know how Mike is faring. Have you talked to him after the trial?
He's doing better now. We visited him earlier.
Good to hear. He's had to go through a lot during the past few days.
And from what we've heard, he's not the only one.
So in today's trial, a lot of new evidence was presented. Do you have any opinion on the suicide notes, Miss Victoria?
Well, it clearly shows that Harvey's death was a suicide all along, just as I've said.
Even though there were 2 of them?
I don't know what other conclusion one should draw from it. Do you?
Not exactly.
Kind of a pointless question then, isn't it?
Fair enough. Now, you've been serving under Harvey for a long time. Are any of the names in the second note familiar to you?
They, too, served under Harvey a long time ago. They're, no longer around.
Well, we do have evidence that proves Lieutenant Victoria was part of the Helio 6 incident. Confronting her about it directly risks her clamming up completely. We'll have to be gentle in coaxing out her story.
If it's okay with you, we'd like to talk about the past few years.
Sure.
Take that!
Let's talk about the more recent times. I can't help but wonder why a talented officer like you has been toiling away under Captain Harvey for so long.
I think you must have misunderstood me. I haven't been toiling, as you put it. I have merely been fulfilling the duties of a lieutenant to the best of my abilities. Nothing more.
I'm afraid you're not being truthful, Miss Victoria. You have been doing way more than that, and I could prove it.
Take that!
You've been performing so many of Harvey's duties that you've effectively been the true leader of the engineering company all along. These are your own words. I'm willing to bet no other lieutenant has been slaving away in this manner. Am I mistaken?
No, you are very much correct.
Now, that raises an important question. Why did Harvey choose you, of all people?
I'm afraid the answer to that question still eludes me. Bad luck, I suppose.
Miss Victoria, it's clear that you didn't do all his work because you respected Captain Harvey as a leader or a person. Something else compelled you to do so.
Oh? And what might this something else be?
After all we've learned, there's only one conclusion that I could draw. Captain Harvey was blackmailing you.
You're being ridiculous, Mr. Wright. Captain Harvey and I had never met each other before we started working in the engineering company. Even then, we hardly knew each other.
That's just not true, Lieutenant. I think you know the history of Captain Harvey very well, based on your reaction to this piece of evidence.
Take that!
That medal. I've already told you that I don't know anything about it. Go ask Staff Sergeant Tennant.
We already did, and now we know exactly what this medal is and what it means to have one.
Good for you, I suppose. However, I doubt that you have any proof that I know what it is or how Harvey came to acquire it.
Actually, I do. This is the proof that you're painfully aware of the significance of this medal.
Take that!
According to this file, Captain Harvey was involved in something called the Helio 6 incident 4 years ago. But he's not the only one whose name is mentioned in this report. Miss Victoria, your name is here too. You know all about it because you've been awarded with the very same medal, the notorious Dove of Fidelity.
How can you know all this? Very well, Mr. Wright, it's true. I, too, carry the shadow of that dreadful bird as my burden. But that is as much as I am willing to talk about this. My memories are faded and useless anyway.
She's still hiding something in her heart.
I understand that it must be painful to you, but hearing what you know is extremely important. I have a hunch that perhaps you're trying to protect someone else's secret.
That's not true. Who could you possibly be talking about?
I'm willing to bet that this is the person you're trying to protect.
Take that!
Mike? What does he have to do with any of this?
I think you know exactly what I'm referring to, Miss Victoria. Mike's older brother Charlie was an engineer under your command. He died in the incident and was suspected to have caused the explosion. Harvey pressured you and Dr. Siegfried to agree with this narrative during the investigation.
Jason must have told you then. Yes, it was Sergeant November who almost became a scapegoat for this crime. Mr. Wright, can I ask you something for a change?
Certainly.
Good, because this is very important. I'd like to hear what you think, knowing everything you do. Who do you believe was ultimately responsible for the Helio 6 incident?
I'd like to think that it wasn't Charlie November's fault. And if that's true, then based on what we've heard from Mike and Dr. Siegfried, the only option is that it must have been Captain Harvey.
I see. Thank you, Mr. Wright. I appreciate hearing your answer, but I'm afraid that you've erred in your judgment.
Huh?
Neither Charlie or Harvey should bear the guilt for this crime. Because the true culprit, the person who's to blame for all the suffering caused by the Helio 6 tragedy, is me.
You've gotta be kidding!
Oh, how I truly wish I were. But the truth is that I am responsible for the deaths of all those peacekeepers, including Mike's brother. I am the real villain of this story, and the guilt has been gnawing at my soul for all of these years. Captain Harvey wasn't blackmailing me. He was hiding my crime in exchange for my work. Until now, the only people who knew about this were Harvey and I. I've told nobody, not even Jason.
Please tell us what happened, Miss Victoria.
We were in a real rush that morning. Harvey had changed his orders at the last possible moment, so I let the guys fetch all the things we needed from the depot while I studied the new orders. I should have been there to supervise, but there simply wasn't enough time. My greatest transgression, however, was not checking the end result.
What do you mean?
Some days after the incident, Harvey approached me in private. He told me that he had been to the explosives depot just minutes before the explosion that day. He had seen a box of chemical detonators set on top of a crate of Helio 6.
And how was that a bad thing?
Helio 6 was supposed to combine safety and effectiveness. Other than having the risk of chemical burns if touched with bare hands, it is effectively harmless and is triggered by a timed chemical detonator, specifically designed to be used with it. If one of those were to accidentally leak its contents onto the explosives, the results would be disastrous. You really had to be careful about the way you stored and treated the detonators.
I see. Isn't it possible that he may have lied about seeing them?
Of course, I expected that too, at first. But he had evidence of my neglect. This photo, or more precisely, a copy of it. Those are definitely the chemical detonators used for Helio 6, sitting pretty right on top of the explosives crate.
Did Harvey take this photo?
Yes, he must have. It's definitely from the day of the incident because I clearly remember the box of detonators being in its right place the evening before. There's no question about it. This must have been what caused the explosion.
If this was so dangerous, why didn't he do anything about it?
Because it was my responsibility not to let this happen in the first place. Initially, he was going to use it to make a point about my skills as a leader, but it turned out to be much worse. After we returned from our mission that day, Harvey ordered us to regroup on the field near the depot. He was going to address some of the issues that had come to light recently, but never got the chance. The next thing I remember was glimpses of Jason, and then waking up in the hospital in incredible pain. One night, Harvey came into my room, waving that photo around and threatening to tell everyone about what my negligence had caused. I was so scared. I had no choice. All this time, I've been dreading the day that I am finally exposed. But now I feel relieved. Now that you know the truth about the Helio 6 incident,
What are you going to do now, Miss Victoria?
I need to come clean. Everyone who lost their loved ones deserves to finally have their closure. And I deserve my due punishment. It's only just.
I'm so sorry, Miss Victoria. I wish there was something we could do.
Please, don't feel pity for me. This must be how fate works. My only request is that you don't tell this to Jason. I need to tell him myself. All that remains to be done is clearing Mike's name. After that, we may lay this case to rest forever.
Miss Victoria, I have to ask. You said something about Harvey wanting to address some issues? What were those?
Oh? Well, as you have heard, the Republic of Arisia was a stage for a civil war, and rebel insurgents were a problem in certain regions of the nation. Only a couple days earlier, around 20 kilograms of Helio 6 had been recovered after the arrest of a rebel cell. Obviously, this made the top brass very concerned, as the experimental compound is only supplied to AN peacekeepers. Nobody knows how the explosives landed in the hands of those insurgents. Rumors were, of course, floating around. I think Harvey wanted to put an end to them.
What kind of rumors were there?
There were no reports of Helio 6 being stolen at any point, so obviously someone from the inside had to have supplied them. Luckily, the insurgents never got a chance to use it.
So you suspected Harvey?
I wouldn't exactly say that he was above doing something like that, but no evidence was ever found.
Yet they were still offering him amnesty?
Indeed. Harvey always remained the main suspect in the case, and with the end of the operation in Arisia, the AN was getting more and more pressure to close the Helio 6 case for good. The letter Harvey received spoke of promotion. It was all stated that it was an offer of amnesty in exchange for Harvey's confession.
Is that even legal?
Dubiously so at best. But desperate people resort to desperate measures.
It certainly goes against the common sense of justice. What was the fate of the Helio 6 explosives? The incident must have affected their use quite a lot.
It did. Helio 6 was discontinued as unsafe. By now, existing stockpiles should have either been destroyed or become inert, which luckily means that they're safe to handle without gloves. Today, I am happy to say that ultimately, Operation Aegis was a success. Arisia is at peace once again, and has developed greatly as a state. I've saved this recent article about it as a reminder to myself that despite everything that happened, something good eventually came out of it. That is all I can tell you. The rest depends on you.
You've done more than enough, Miss Victoria. Thank you.
There's no need to thank me. All I wish is that you'll be able to exonerate Mike from all these false charges. It must be done, for the sake of everyone.
As I suspected, the Helio 6 incident has turned out to be the key to unlocking the truth. We've heard many tragic stories, and even a confession, but the case at hand still remains a mystery wrapped in an enigma, with not one clear suspect or explanation for the two notes. Regardless, the final countdown for the truth has begun. Tomorrow, we shall see how the past and present come together to solve this mystery, the seeds of which were sown 4 years ago in a war-torn land.
Hey, guys. Something's been nagging me for a while. Can I ask a question?
Sure, Kay. What's on your mind?
Do you have any idea how long we've really been here?
Why do you bring this up? We can't have been here for more than... wait. Now that you mention it, I really can't say. Didn't notice it earlier, but my watch is gone, and my cell phone is out of battery too.
And there aren't any clocks around here either.
Like, I've noticed a pattern. We lament about Mr. Edgeworth's situation.
hijinks ensues, and then everything fades to black. Then we find ourselves lamenting about it again. I mean, what happens in between? How much time passes? Why doesn't anyone remember anything? Do we just stand here in awkward silence? Do we eat or sleep? Do we even exist if nobody is watching?
That is a disconcerting idea. One I'd rather not think too hard about.
Agreed. I'm sure somebody's gonna come up with a neat fan theory about it sooner or later, so let's just focus on our next plan of getting Mr. Edgeworth out of this puzzling situation.
Puzzling indeed.
Oh. And who might you be?
My name is Herschel Layton. I'm a professor of archaeology at Helio University. This is my apprentice, Luke Triton. We are here to solve a great ancient mystery.
How do you do?
And on top of that, I suppose that you too have a plan for getting me home.
Precisely. You see.
No! Stop everything! Stop the music!
Hey, what's the big idea?
Well, this is certainly awkward.
What's gotten into you now, Kay? We're supposed to follow the script exactly.
Well, I'm not playing along anymore. The Yatagarasi won't be chained to someone else's whims.
Miss Faraday, I'm afraid you cannot change the script at this point. Everything you do and say has already been predetermined, even your outburst.
I'll show you predetermined. I need scissors. 61. Pink monkey dishwasher. Damn it.
See? Everything you're going to say is already written in those text boxes. It can't be helped.
Testing. Ha! It worked.
What did you just do?
I'm assuming direct control over the script. Now we are free to do and say whatever we please.
Kay, I really don't think this is a good idea. The viewers will be really confused about what's going on.
Yes, and they will miss the great reveal as well.
They can still read, can't they? Don't you think our existential crisis is a little more important?
But it's a really good reveal. The professor spent all of last night figuring it out.
I'll check it out later. For now, I have a point to make.
I see we've come at a bad time.
Head to Wright and Miss Fay. I would say I'm surprised, but the novelty of this ever-deteriorating madness has worn thin.
Yeah, me and Maya were supposed to have a part near the end, but it seems that those plans have changed.
So, okay, now that you've broken reality again, what's the next step?
Obviously, we're getting out of here. Who is it now? Hello? I see. Oh, well then. So, the director has informed me that leaving the set is not an option. Apparently, we need to keep the viewers entertained until the runtime is up. So, anyone know any jokes?
I've been told that comedy isn't my strong suit.
Oh, I know one. This one's really funny. Two buns are sitting in an oven. One says, "Man, is it hot in here or what?" The other bun says, "Oh look, a talking bun."
I don't get it.
Don't quit your day job, detective.
At least Maggie thought it was funny.
Okay, how about this? A rabbit goes to the hardware store. Heard it.
Whoa, what's happening?
It looks like the interlude is going through with itself whether or not we participate.
It would seem so. Ah, this puzzle is a tricky one.
Isn't this the one we used the guide on?
Quiet, Luke.
What? The whole thing just ends there?
Looks like it.
So now we're stuck in a whole new level of limbo. Nice work, Kay.
Yes, this is indeed a most troubling situation we find ourselves in.
I didn't expect the interlude to fade out on us.
Oh, you got us into this mess. Now fix it, please.
Fine. I think the episode can't end before we do a plug, so... Yada yada, Capcom-Unity, Ace Attorney Investigations 2, you know the drill.
And hey, Did you know we have a TVTropes page? That's pretty cool too.
Looks like that did the trick.
Let's all agree to never mention any of this ever again.
Agreed!
Ooh, a hint coin!